I never should have opened that book, but how was I to know? It was just another day at work, another shipment of dusty old tomes to catalog for the university library's special collections. I've been doing this job for years, and I love it. There's something magical about being the first person in decades, sometimes centuries, to crack open a long forgotten volume. That day started like any other. I remember the weak autumn sunlight slanting through the high windows of the archive room, dust motes dancing in the beams, the scrape of my chair on the old hardwood floor as I settled in at my desk, the familiar smell of aged paper and leather bindings. The crate before me was unremarkable, just another acquisition from some deceased professor's estate. I began unpacking the books one by one, examining their condition, entering the details into our database. About halfway through the crate, I lifted out a smallish volume bound in what looked like dark green leather. No title on the spine or cover, which was unusual. I opened it carefully, expecting a handwritten journal or ledger of some kind. The moment my fingers touched the first page, I felt something, a faint tingling like static electricity. I dismissed it as my imagination. The text inside was handwritten, but in no language I recognized. The letters were spidery and elaborate, almost more like symbols than an alphabet. Interspersed with the writing were intricate diagrams and illustrations that made my skin crawl, though I couldn't say exactly why. I should have closed the book right then. Should have noted it as contents unknown and moved on. But curiosity got the better of me. I kept turning pages, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Near the center of the book, I found several pages that seemed to be in English, though the handwriting was so cramped and hurried it was hard to decipher. I leaned closer, squinting to make out the words. To whoever finds this tome, I am deeply, truly sorry. The knowledge contained within comes at a terrible price. I sought to unlock the secrets of the ancients, but in my hubris, I have instead brought a curse upon myself. I pray you will not make the same mistake A sudden gust of wind from the open window scattered my papers, breaking my concentration. By the time I'd gathered them, my break was nearly over. I closed the book, making a mental note to examine it more closely later. That night, I dreamed of the book. In the dream, I stood in a vast, dark library. Shelves stretched endlessly in every direction, fading into shadow. And there, on a pedestal bathed in dim light, sat the sickly, dark green, leather-bound volume. As I approached, I heard a voice. Soft, seductive, promising knowledge beyond my wildest imaginings. Power to reshape reality itself. All I had to do was read, learn, accept. I woke with a start, heart pounding. As the dream faded, I chuckled nervously to myself. Just my subconscious playing tricks, no doubt influenced by that strange book from yesterday. Nothing to worry about. How wrong I was. The next day at work, I found myself drawn back to the special collections room. I told myself I just wanted to finish cataloging that crate. But deep down, I knew I was looking for the book. I found it easily, as if I'd always known exactly where it was. This time, as I opened it, the tingle in my fingers was stronger. The symbols seemed to writhe on the page, making my eyes water. Flipped through, searching for that English passage I'd found before. And then I saw it. My name. A chill ran down my spine. How was that possible? This book was easily 100 years old. But there it was, clear as day, my full name written in that same spidery hand. I slammed the book shut, my heart pounding. It had to be a coincidence. Or a trick of the light. I was letting my imagination run wild. I finished my shift in a daze, my hands shaking slightly. When I left the building, the crisp evening air did little to calm my nerves. That night, the whispers started. At first, I thought it was just the wind in the trees outside my bedroom window. But as I lay there in the dark, I began to make out words, fragments of ancient languages, promises of forbidden knowledge. And underneath it all, my name repeated over and over. I turned on every light in the apartment, checked every closet, under the bed, behind the shower curtain. Nothing. I tried to convince myself it was just stress, lack of sleep. I'd been working too hard lately. My mind was playing tricks on me. But the whispers didn't stop. They followed me to work the next day. I could hear them even over the bustle of the crowded bus, the chatter in the break room, always just on the edge of hearing. Tantalizing snippets of arcane wisdom, mixed with unsettling phrases I couldn't quite grasp. The old ones sleep. Knowledge is power. Break the seals. Your name is written. I avoided the special collections room, made excuses to stick to the main library floor. But I could feel the book calling to me, knew exactly where it sat on the shelf, as if there was an invisible thread connecting us. That night, I dreamed of the book again. In the dream, I opened it, and this time, the pages were filled with scenes from my life. Moments I'd forgotten. Secrets I'd never told anyone. And at the end, oh God, the things I saw at the end, I woke up screaming, drenched in sweat. The whispers were louder now. No longer just fragments, but a constant stream of temptation and threat. Promises of power beyond imagining, if only I'd embraced the knowledge. Hints of the horrors that awaited if I refused. I called in sick to work, tried to drown out the voices with loud music, with mindless TV. Nothing helped. By the third day, I was a wreck. I hadn't slept, couldn't eat. The voices were constant now, drilling into my brain. I knew I was losing my mind. I had to destroy the book. It was the only way to make it stop. I waited until after midnight and broke into the library. The alarm keep had accepted my code. They hadn't deactivated it yet. The corridors were dark and silent as I made my way to special collections. The green book seemed to glow faintly in the darkness as I approached the shelf where I'd placed it. My hands shook as I reached for it. The moment my fingers touched the cover, the whispers crescendoed to a roar. I gasped, nearly dropping the hateful thing. I'd brought gasoline and matches. I doused the book, my fingers slipping on the now slick leather. As I fumbled with the matchbox, the voices changed. No longer seductive, but mocking. You cannot destroy what has already claimed you, they hissed. The book is but a conduit. The curse lives in you now. I struck the match and dropped it on the book. Flames leaped up with unnatural speed. The voices laughed, a dry, crackling sound that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Fool, you've only ensured its spread. The fire alarm began to shriek. Through the smoke, I saw shadows writhing on the walls, taking shapes that should not be. I ran out of the library, out into the night. I ran until my lungs burned and my legs gave out. When I looked back, the library was engulfed in flames. I wish I could say that burning the book ended it, that the whispers stopped, that my life went back to normal. But the voices were right. The curse lives in me now. It was only later, as I pieced together my fractured memories, that I realized the full horror of what I'd done. In those days before I burned it, driven by a compulsion I couldn't understand, I'd read the book cover to cover. The words seared themselves into my brain, even as they drove me to the brink of madness. And I learned the truth. The elderly professor who'd owned the book before me had indeed found a way to end the curse. The only way to be free was to pass it on, to trick some other poor soul into taking on the burden, or else live an eternity plagued by the curse. So he wrote the book, filled it with just enough truth to be tempting, just enough warning to pique the curiosity of someone like me. A perfect trap, just as he knew someone would. But now, the book is ashes, and the curse lives on in me. I hear the whispers constantly, see things lurking just at the edge of vision. My dreams are filled with strange events. I don't know what is real anymore. Knowledge that no human was meant to possess seeps into my thoughts, tempting me, torturing me. I've tried to end it, to escape, but I can't. The curse won't let me die. The curse is patient. It can wait. And one day, when you least expect it, you'll hear the whispers start. I couldn't bring myself to intentionally pass this on to someone I knew. I couldn't bear the thought of knowingly inflicting this torment on another person. But the voices, they won't let me rest. So much like the professor, I made something that may help me be free. I've made this recording, And to whoever is listening now, I can only echo the words I read in that damned green book, knowing now their true, terrible meaning. I am deeply, truly sorry.